Today I'm back working on the 54. One of the most frequent questions I get is how the air ride in this thing works. Well, today I'm going to show you and how I did it all, and this thing lays frame for 300 bucks. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take you guys on a tour of the Ridge Runner and show you what it is. I'm Kevin, and this is Ridge Runner Garage. 1954 GMC pickup. I got it. It was literally a bunch of sheet metal, no floor, strapped to the original frame. It now has an Isuzu pickup frame. It's got the airbag suspension, rear sway bar, Ford 8.8, and you'll see these trusty looking nitrous tanks. It was almost 3 years before the first guy realized that these are scuba tanks with nitrous stickers. They are my air tanks for my airbags. And funny enough, the guy was from Holland. Came with a brand new tailgate, so I had to, make sure that looked a little more rusty. So, shot out my 40 and, sanded it down, made it look a little rusty. Taillights, big taillights are a big thing at the car show. Everybody likes them. These are from a C7 Caterpillar. These are pinion gears that I do a lot of Jeep stuff, so ring and pinion. I have a whole bunch of that stuff laying around. Knockoff Cadillac, 59 Cadillac taillights. These two milk cans are my fuel tanks. I just tried to come up with something that I'd never seen anybody use them for before. I could have done the beer keg or any of that stuff. I don't know, man. I just didn't think it was cool. This box here's got the battery in it. It's actually a 12 gauge ammo box, and that has the actual battery in it. I love my little drive-away fuel pump. I usually drag it on the ground at car shows, but I don't do it while I'm driving down the road because the simple fact that every 10 minutes somebody's trying to pull me over and tell me there's something dragging from the truck. How do you like the dome light in this thing? Something right out of somebody's basement, and I use a 12 volt RV bulb. There you go. That's how that works. In here, got the steering wheel I always wanted. Mustang. Don't know why. It really doesn't. Nobody really knows it's from a Mustang, but I liked it. I dug it. The center of the room's a giant gas handle shifter. That part right there is actually from a set of drag bars from a motorcycle. That stuff, that is the air valves, which are actually water valves. A water valve with a drain, a pressure gauge, all from Home Depot. That's how the air system works. This gauge is really just there for aesthetics, but it does actually work. When I let the air out, the gauge actually does move. Got plenty of 12 volt accessories in there for, charging the cell phones and GPS, things along those lines. Got my air conditioner up in the window out of a school bus. Got some cup holders down there. There we go. My center console made out of a street sign. No, I didn't steal that street sign. Somebody gave it to me that worked for the town. But I have, anyway. Vacuum cleaner intake, that's a real Electrolux. It is cut open on the bottom. There is an actual air filter in there, and the mass airflow sensor is in there. That is an actual working 6 liter, 2002 6 liters. Got an NV 4500 5-speed in it. Headers upside down and around. These are actually nice stainless steel, but there was so much heat under the hood I had to wrap them. There's electric cutouts. There's exhaust system running down through the truck, which, you kind of need. It was a little loud just hanging out of the side of the fender as you're driving around, I gotta say. Got my Triple E vodka overflow bottle, perfect. Shovel handle for a hood prop, gotta love that. GMC, I actually had the emblem, but one of the C or the G was missing, it was broke off, so it's a drill bit and some horseshoes. Took the front brakes off of a Hemi Charger. Nice huge front 13.5-inch front brakes on this thing, which stop great, except for it does pull to the one side, unfortunately. Big truck mirrors. Yeah, so that's the 54. You heard me right, 300 bucks. This was on leaf springs, torsion bars, and now it's on full working air ride, lace frame, and yeah, I did it all for 300 bucks. With some stuff I ordered on eBay, a grinder, a welder, a little know-how, and some trips to Home Depot, I'm gonna show you how I made the frame, cut the frame, made the airbags fit, and how I control it. So this is how a C-notch is done, low budget. Instead of buying an expensive C-notch for your frame, 1/4-inch plate, here, and on the back. This is 2.5-inch square tubing. Laid that over the frame. Once I built this structure, I simply cut the frame out of it. There you go. An inexpensive C-notch. Just like that. Yeah, I mean, I probably could have covered that up, but again, it's a rat rod, and you want to show stuff like that. You don't want it all purty. So as you can see, there's the shackle mount on the back of this. This was on leaf springs. Well, guess what? What do you think that mount is that the airbag's bolted to? That is a leaf spring mount with 2 holes drilled into it. I cut the leaf spring mount off, drilled 2 holes, bolted it to the airbag, welded it to the axle. This is a Ford 8.8 out of a Ford Explorer. Pretty simple. Couple tries at making sway bar mounts, but there you go. Now for what we have here, the upper airbag mounts. Now I've seen a lot of guys from these C-notches that I was telling you about just do some straight bars across, maybe with an X in the middle, whatever you think looks nice. I can't take actual credit for this top piece. It was off a bent frame that I had bought a while back. Thought it was cool, cut it off, welded it into here, did some similar stuff. But that's really it. It's got some 1/4-inch plate steel just cut out, just a couple tabs here. Another 1/4-inch round plate made here. Just 2 bolt holes. I mean, you know, just bolts to the airbag. Pretty simple. Nothing really to it. I took this lower control arm out to show you how easy it is to make something like this. And here it is. Some of you might have already guessed by looking at this. There and there. You know what that is? That's the original leaf spring mount and bushing each side here. Cut off both sides of the leaf spring and a piece of pipe welded between. That is how you make a lower control arm on the cheap. That bolt, I mean, you could use just a regular bolt, weld it to it here if you want to. This is actually just an old shock bolt that was welded to it and gusseted right there. Pretty simple. Here's a lower control arm mounted back in the truck here. This is another leaf spring mount that is welded to that Ford 8.8. Just a couple pieces of 1/4-inch steel welded into a square, drilled a hole through it. Pretty simple. Those are going to the original leaf spring mounts that the frame had. And same on the other side. You have to excuse these welds. I didn't really think I'd ever be showing anybody this stuff, but that's it. Upper control arm. This is made from just a piece of tubing cut and leftover Rubicon Express bushings. Now you can actually buy a bushing. A lot of 4x4s will sell a bushing with a sleeve and collar all already put together, and you can use that if you want, if you don't want to make your own. But there you go. That's homemade, pretty simple. You can use straight pipe. I happen to have a couple bends in these pipes. And that's it. I made my own upper control arm mounts. Let me tell you a little story about that. Okay, there's one more thing to the rear suspension here, and this upper control arm mount. Same on both sides. It is plate and another plate back here going through a bushing. Pretty simple. Seemed like it was really strong. Well, it wasn't. So, racing somebody, being my normal idiot self, and at 100 miles an hour, I shifted from 4th to 5th. And guess what happened? Those tore out of the frame and that broke. Yeah, scary stuff right there. Smashed all the bottom of the truck, blew an airline, smashed all these fuel lines, bent that stuff all the heck. Yeah. So when you build upper control arm mounts, you might want to just box them in. Be a good idea. So the front suspension, a bit more simple actually. As you can see, it was torsion bar. See the torsion bar hole in the lower control arm. Actually back here where they were mounted. So the lower control arm, upper control arm, airbag. The airbag drilled 2 holes in the lower control arm, bolted it into the airbag. Simple mounted. The top is just mounted to a plate of steel welded at an angle. 2 holes, mounted the top. That's how that works. Now a lot of guys will run these with just the airbags. I did for a little while and they ride pretty good. They're not really too bad, but I decided to add a shock. This is just a piece of shock mount off of an axle that I had. Just cut that off, and a piece of round bar and welded a bolt to it. Unfortunately, I have these too close to the caliper, and when you turn the wheel all the way, it actually hits the lower shock and pushes on the back of the caliper. Wants to lock the brake up in hard turn situations, but I'm gonna cut this back off, just slide it that direction a little bit, and I should be fine. I'm going to take you through how the system operates. Now it all begins here. This is just a little inlet air filter. Try to keep everything clean. It's right around a 1/2 inch in size. This is an air tool oiler. Again, probably eBay or Amazon. It is, obviously you can see it's low on oil. I do have to add some oil in this. I mean, it really just matters how much you use the system, which is odd because I can drive back and forth to work a few times and the system starts to get low, but I can drive thousands of miles and only fill it a few times. So pretty odd. Anyways, air inlet here, air tool oiler goes to the factory AC compressor. Yep. The donor truck I took the drivetrain out of had air conditioning, and that's it. That air compressor, the AC compressor, is now my air compressor. This is what pumps up my airbags. You know, it's factory. You can probably find parts, most auto parts stores, it's an LS, plenty replaceable while you're out driving around. Now, I just tapped into the clutch, ran a relay, kept it powered all the time. I'll show you that in a second, and there's the outline right there. Air going out, goes up here, goes to what I have here, and this is a oil water or oil air separator, excuse me, but to be honest with you, you don't need this. You can you push the button on it here and there and maybe a little oil comes out of it, but you don't need that. You don't need it at all because it's a total loss system. When you release the air, it blows out onto the ground, and there, you know, underneath the truck where the line is, there's a small mist of oil there, and that's all you need. Now, I said before that you keep the relay powered all the time, and it just, the ground side of it goes through this little air micro switch, if you will, and this is designed to turn on at 90 and turn off at 120. Also, a cheap part, might have gotten on eBay or Amazon, you know, maybe about $6 or so. Now, this is the air line going back out, goes under the truck, goes to these guys here. These are my air tanks. I know they look like nitrous bottles, but they're actually scuba tanks with nitrous stickers. but it looks cool. It's a rat rod. You can use whatever you want for air tanks though. You can use propane tanks. You can use fire extinguishers. Anything that holds a pressurized air, you can use, especially when it comes to rat rods. Do something cool. Make something you haven't ever seen. I've never seen anybody ever use nitrous bottles, or what looks like them anyways, as air tanks. Just finding, I haven't really cleaned the truck out in a while since we was finding stuff under the seats here. Under the seat, from the AC compressor or air compressor to this three-way manifold. This is just a simple three-way manifold I got from Harbor Freight, just an air manifold, and that actually feeds both air tanks. And the other side goes out to these water valves here. They're just three-way or well two-way ball valves. Inlet there. There is how I control it. That's the in, that's the out. That goes to this cool little altimeter gauge that I got. That goes out to the ground there. That's the front, goes to the airbags, and that's the rear. These are the same ball valves, but they have drain on them, and I got these off of Amazon or eBay again. Also, they are, I think, maybe a $5 or $6 part. This is all stuff that I've got from Home Depot, just pieces and parts here. That's how that worked. Pretty simple, inexpensive stuff. Then, as you can see from those valves on the floor, came out this plastic air line to the airbags. It's the same way in the front. There's just a T under the seat for these. So there you go. That's how I did it. It really is going to be directly related to how much scrap steel you might have laying around. I seem to always have projects and have a bunch. A set of airbags will cost you 75 bucks with the airline, right around 100 bucks, I think. 100 bucks to the front, 100 bucks to the back. The scuba tanks / nitrous tanks, you can use anything you can find, whatever's free, any kind of air tank, anything that holds compressed air. And for the valving, some trips to Lowe's, some trips to Home Depot, some stuff I ordered on eBay, some stuff I ordered on Amazon, and there you go. That's how I did it. Now, maybe this video will inspire you to do something similar for yourselves, or at least show you how I made some of this stuff. If you don't have maybe an AC compressor, you can always maybe dig up something at the junkyard. Maybe you had an LS swap and you got a compressor just hanging off and you're wondering, well, here's a good use for it. Now, if you don't want to use the AC compressor, you can get a set of compressors or one single compressor. I'd recommend a set because you never know. One goes out, you're pretty screwed. Get a set of compressors. A set of decent ones will cost you around 300 bucks. Yeah, you could probably get some cheaper stuff on Amazon or eBay, but go with something decent. And that's actually what I'm going to do to this next. I'm actually going to upgrade this and switch it over to the electric compressors. Why? Because I'm going to put air conditioning in this thing. And I think I have an idea how to do that from almost everything from the junkyard. I want to possibly, I'll buy an underdash unit. I got a few ideas on how to make my own. The only thing is, though, if you buy one of these underdash units, unless you can find a cool old one, anything you can buy online, which just is a box with a blower and maybe a knob or two, and it's got the evaporator in it. I mean, they look like old Atari 2600 games or something. They're ugly. So maybe I'll make one out of tin and just put my own parts in it. But anyway, today I'm headed to the junkyard to see what I can find. And thanks for joining us with this video where we get to listen to Neighbor Dude become Paul Bunyan. Wait a minute, I have a quiet spot. Won't last long. So thanks for watching this episode of Ridge Runner Garage. I've got some more stuff to do to the 54. I've got to hurry up, but I've got to get it done. In a few weeks, we're actually headed up to Cosby, Tennessee. We're going on a moonshine run, and it's put on by the Petty Foundation and Adventure Distilling Company. So, Petty Foundation, man, would it be cool to meet Richard Petty or something like that? That would be awesome. Who knows? Probably not around, but anyway, that's what we're doing. We're gonna shoot some videos of it, and it'll be probably our next couple episodes. So thanks for watching.